Alright, we're live tonight with some more Boros Burn on Sunday nights that we've been doing for quite a while. Still working on a variant that hopefully has a better matchup against Murktide, which during our string of runs with the main Boros Burn deck that we've done so well with lately, the one matchup we've consistently struggled with is the Murktide matchup. So to that end, I've brought a couple of Exquisite Firecrafts in the sideboard, kind of hoping to punch through their wall of counterspells to kind of close out the games. Beyond that, we're still running a lot of the same list that we ran last week. 2 Deflecting Palm, 2 Path for any type of problematic creatures our opponent's running. Palm has performed a little bit less stellar in the last sets of videos, so this is a card worth watching. Sanctifying Beck is a card that's kind of bounced around a little bit. It's not particularly good in the Burn Mirror because it doesn't gain life, and a lot of the matchups that we would want this for were mainly the Lurrus decks. Obviously, Lurrus is no longer in the format, but you still occasionally see Grixis Shadow variants, you still see Red-Black Midrange, you still see, obviously, it's reasonable in the Murktide matchup, a card they often have to answer. Although, it's a little bit worse with Ledger Shredder now being the secondary threat in the deck, as opposed to Dragon Rage's Chandler, and once again, Firecraft kind of being an uncounterable burn spell isn't relevant. We shaved 1 copy of Smash to Smithereens against the artifact decks, as we haven't seen as much of that. That said, you know, a lot of Moto, you'll immediately run into 3 Hammer Time decks and regret your choices as far as Smash to Smithereens not being in your sideboard. Then finally, 4 copies of Rolling Vortex. This card has proven its value time and time again against all the Cascade decks, and also being very relevant against 4-color Omnath variants. You know, the secondary text of whenever a player casts a spell, no mana was spent, deals 5 damage to them, and also the anti-life gain thing, both of which are relevant in the situations. Main deck, we're still running the same list, still running the 4 of everything list, still trying out 1 Crucible of Defiance to see how that does. It's been fine so far. It's basically a mountain in a lot of situations, but in others it's just a channelable land. You know, it's not running our 5th copy of a Canopy land with Fiery Islet, not doing us as much damage, so continue to see how that goes. But that said, let's get into some matches. Alright, here for match number 1. Skin's pretty solid. Couple of 1-drop creatures. The one weakness of this hand is no answer to a turn 1 Ragavan or anything, at least not immediately. But, you know, for opponents mulliganing, maybe they're a combo deck. Could be Living End, could be Rhinos, could be Tron.
Could be Tron.
Looks like it is instead either Murktide or Rhinos, perhaps. Never mind, we're up against Dredge. Haven't played against this matchup in some time. Unfortunately, with only 2 Sanctifiers in our sideboard, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Crippling Chill has made this matchup basically impossible. Even with the more painful mana base with City of Brasses and stuff. They've just... Okay. So... what are they casting here? Flashing Thrilling Discovery. Yeah, just all the arbitrary life that they gain. kind of funny, always when I shave, like cards like Sanctifier and Vec is generally when you run across the one random matchup where you haven't seen in months that just punishes you. But we'll press on. This game's basically over. They have 7 power. It's going to be 9 power. And they've exiled 3 Creeping Chills and just kind of annihilating us here. It's one deck I'm surprised that hasn't popped up back more. Or do they have 2 Amalgams coming in? I think they might have 2 Amalgams. Alright, are just dead on board. So Dredge, Sanctifier and Vec is relevant. Roiling Vortex, not so much. Though it is a card we can consider bringing in. What is Dredge even playing these days? Some number of ley lines, which we can't do anything about. Why they need ley line, I don't know. I guess it's good against endurance as a reason to have it. You don't really cast any free spells per se. But maybe I want to bring in Vortexes just from the anti-life gain stuff. Go down Eidolons, because Eidolons aren't particularly good against them. Because they don't actually cast all that many spells. Although on the play I suppose it's fine. And we might want as many creatures in our deck because of Leyline, so maybe we'll go down Riftbolt here. Try it like this. Guess I'd love to play first. This hand is not great, but it's serviceable. They could be mulliganing to Leyline, and apparently the answer is no. Opponent gets to their World of Gaze, sure. The line which we already kind of figured they brought in. They got a Thug. Okay. Double A line. Problem is they do have a couple other unworldly gazes here. Okay, so they get to chill us. This is kind of awkward. So I really want to blaze this, but I think at this point I just go ahead, do this. Take the damage, cast the Sanctifier and Beck. Those who wonder what matchup Sanctifier is good in, this happens to be one of them. This is one of the reasons why you saw so much play. It's good in Shadow, it's good against Murktide, it's good against most variants of Reanimator. It's okay in the mirror match, although I wouldn't recommend bringing it in. It's okay against any like red prowess decks you might run against. The problem is like the main graveyard deck in the format, it's just actively terrible against. That of course being so land would be a good draw. Deal with that. Bolt that. I don't think there's anything our opponent can play here that can kill us from here. So like hard cast Creeping Chill, they still go to 2 back to 5, and then we just should have lethal. Yep. Problem is, even on the draw, like Sanctifier and Rest in Peace are both typically too slow in the format, or too slow on the draw. So you often have to steal one random game against them. So we saw Ley Lines, which obviously we figured they had anyway, bringing the other Roiling Vortexes. Searing Blaze goes down in value a little bit in that kind of a situation. Lava Spike's not terribly exciting. I don't really like Path in this matchup, but at the same time, do they even run a basic anymore? No, they don't. So Path Exile is just a free strip mine. Although they do not even run Life from the Loam anymore. So they have what, 4, 8. Interesting. They do run Gemstone Caverns. Guess we'll try it like this. I'm not a huge fan of bringing in something like Path, but you know, if they're going to emphasize, oh wow, this is a, it's gonna be a great hand if we, you know, had lands. This hand isn't terribly exciting, but I think we keep it. Put back the spike, Lava Spike. Yep, kind of figured they'd have Layla in this game. Alright, what is your spell? Discovery, discarding... Double Creeping Chill. Okay, so you kept a punishing hand, hoping... to find some dredgers. They could have Dark Blast in hand, so maybe this is a mistake. Nope. Okay, they found Stinkweed. Deal them 1 damage. So our opponent's going to get the Conflagrate here. Pitching all of the cards in their hand. Portable Hole. Interesting. I think they would want to Conflagrate there. That would make much more sense. Don't want to kill this Stinky until we absolutely have to. Okay. This feels like I can Conflagrate. It's actually possible I should have used yeah, I should have used Boros Charm to save whatchamacallit there. Now we're going to lose anyway. Yeah, even if we'd kept that around, I don't think it would have mattered. Yeah, that's just game. Dredge is always a difficult matchup, especially when you're not prepared for it. You know, if you're not bringing in, if you don't have multiple copies of Rest in Peace, Sanctifier, Tormod's Crypt, etc. Like when Dredge is a huge part of the meta, you generally have to structure it a bit. And I'm honestly surprised the deck hasn't started to make a comeback a little bit. You know, it seems like the way it's built now, it would have a decent Murktide matchup. It would have, maybe it's a little bit slow against 4-color control. You know, in terms of how quickly 4-color can set up the game, and then possibly struggle against like Hammer Time and such. But I would figure it would actually be in a decent place in the meta, except all the endurances that people are already playing for Murktide. So that's it. Let's move on to the next match. Alright, back for match number 2. Fortunately, we're on the draw here. But they can keep us hand with a 1-drop into other spells. It's like either Rhinos or Murktide, possibly 4-color. Alright, trigger. Reveals collected company. Up against like Bant Spirits or something? Oh, we're up against Spike's stupid Bant Soulheard list. On the burn plan. Let's see if he's put out a list with it lately. Spiring Spike. Okay. Probably an Ice Fang Codal here. Go down Helix. Alright, just pass the turn. We know they have Collected Company, so we'll wait till they tap for Collected Company and try to kill them. Because I don't want to run into any weird things like Spell Queller or something. I think they might even play Venser, and not that Venser's like particularly relevant here, but alright, there's the list. He's got some Knight of Autumns in the sideboard, some Burrington Forge Tenders. The rest of the deck's just like one big pile of mopiness. So, Meddling Mage could be annoying. Definitely want Path to Exile. Roiling Vortex is debatable. Exquisite Firecraft. Can't be counter clause, doesn't seem relevant. Endurances, roiling vortexes. Maybe I just board out Boros charms and board in like this. Because they have some amount of life gain. They've got Solitudes, Knight of Autumns. They have Meddling Mages, so we need to kind of diversify our removal a little bit. But this is the list that we're playing against, or some variant thereof. Basically, the reason why they weren't doing a whole lot is they don't really have a whole lot going on in the early game, and they're just kind of designed for a mopey mid-range game. In the sideboard, they've got some stuff against us. Sand seems fine. No one drop. Still could easily answer our one drop, but especially the way they're not passing. Okay, Knight of Autumn, good card to know about. Gonna presume they don't want to fetch that away. And that presumption would be correct. So if they play a wall here, I think I'm supposed to attack, force them to interact with it. And if they just use Codal as a gain 1, I don't really care here. Or gain 2. That's awkward. I think we go here, hope they try to Codal block. Opponent. Okay, feels like they have a Codal coming down. Enters play. Yield kill. Well, it goes to 12, but they get to go back to 14, 15 next turn. Gain 2 life or gain 3? I think it's 3. Gain 4 life, so they get to go to 16. That's kind of terrifying. Ideally, we'd love to draw land here to trigger Landfall and Searing Blaze. Okay, so it's only going to be a gain 2 effectively. Alright, that's like the best case scenario draw was a land, because then we can go land, Searing Blaze, deal them a bunch of damage. Let's see if they have Force of Negation, I guess they get us. That would have been terrifying if they could copy the Knight of Autumn. Okay, do this. So if they go for Collected Company during combat, we just get to kill them. Almost anything else we don't care about here. Trigger. Trigger on the stack. Cast Mind Collected Company. Bing bang boom. Collected Company on the stack. Kill you. Nice. Nice to get back on the winning track after losing to Dredge. Alright, back for match 3 on the draw again. A lot of the matchups that you do see are very close, whether it be Rhinos or Murktide or the blue variant of Living End, or these different mid-range piles, basically, for lack of a better term. I know Living End is technically. Alright, so looks like we might be up against Jund or Black-Red. Why? Did I miss something here? Interesting. Okay, I can't say I've ever seen that one before. So we're just going to suspend the Rift Bolt and pass. Okay. Dothy Voidwalker. That one is significantly less scary. Though the fact that we're so far behind on life could end up being relevant here. Because we have to 2-for-1 ourselves to, well, I mean, deal with that. It's interesting their opponent is playing Blood Moon in the same deck they're playing a Dothy Voidwalker in. Just seems not the best. I guess to put us to 9. See what their follow-up is. I feel like I'm just supposed to bite the bullet and play this and kill it. Opponent's got a weird brew going on, that's for sure. Kind of ironic we're staring down yet another matchup where Sanctifier and Beck would have been good, and we don't have it on our sideboard to speak of. Could end up getting locked by our own Eidolons, so I gotta be careful about playing a second one. Okay, I think you might have goofed there, but if you have a bolt, it doesn't matter, I guess. Okay. Yep, just died exactly one. Opponent's definitely got a interesting brew. Definitely want to bring these in. Deflecting Palm seems okay. Path seems decent. Rest of the cards I just don't know. I'm gonna go down Boros Charm because they are playing Blood Moon. Try it like that. Four lands can't keep. The sand seems perfectly fine. Putting back Skewer, I guess. Spend the Rift Bolt and pass. I say Ragavan's actually the card we kind of want to see here. As weird as that sounds, I still killed a monkey. Just keep them from doing any shenanigans. Oh, wow. It's funny, I was actually concerned putting more of these in the sideboard for this league, but I don't think we want any of these other cards, so let's just click submit. Yeah, sand seems perfectly legit. Opponent's deck is like Ragavan, Dothy Voidwalker, So they're like playing red-black mid-range, but like really weird stuff. You have a discard spell on one. Be kind of unfortunate. Of course they do. Gee, I wonder what card they're taking. And they have a rebirth bullcrap to go with it. And then Undying Evil. Take our Sanctifier, because it's the only card they really care about, probably. Okay, they head in there in Mesa. Put it being if they want to cast a Thoughtseize or something. Will be 100% blocking the Ragavan if they choose to dash it this turn. Attacks first. Try to kill this. Assuming they have some type of Undying Evil or nonsense. Apparently not. You could have Fury in hand, which, you know, whatever. Do they take 4 to dash a monkey? Oh, but apparently they take 4 to cast one. Alright, opponent should attack with both. They choose to do nothing instead. Guess inevitability does favor our opponent here. And just buys us a bunch of time to draw lands, apparently. Alright, we'll play alt land just in case. Though ironically, I think we only have one fetchable left in the deck. So maybe I wasn't supposed to play that there. Wow, what a fun game of Magic. Will that force them to block something? If I get through for 2... Yeah, but it is a good surprise. One card we definitely want to get rid of is Eidolon here. Grief is definitely an annoying one. They took Swift Spear? Why? card that legitimately doesn't matter. Okay. I wonder if our opponent realizes that would kill them. You're going to choose to kill nothing. Don't know if this is going to work out how my opponent hopes. So block here, and here, here, and here. Wow, that was a weird staring contest that I think our opponent was favored in if they played that game a little bit tighter. Alright, we're back for match number 4 on the draw yet again. You know, this card just kind of proved its worth. Burn Mirror? Feels like it could be the Burn Mirror. I think I'm good with my opponent bolting this, if that's what's going to happen. Oh, we are up against Creativity, which could be a rough matchup. Especially if they have like artifacts to actually target. Okay, just like a fire main phase. Nope, right at 6. Explore. Okay, so we're probably up against the Titan version of the deck. So I gotta be mindful of how I sequence my plays here. Spell Pierce makes it considerably harder. So if my opponent's stuck on 3 lands, so they don't have the creativity that we knew about got fetched away. So they still could have a creativity in hand, but modes. Draw 2, discard 2. Sure. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll pitch the Pierce. Pitch Jace and run in 6. And then they hit another. I think I go ahead and resolve the most difficult to resolve spell here. That being Boros Charm, and still hold up Bolt so they can't like Archon me into the ground. I guess I'm actually cool with them piercing this, if I'm being completely honest. Alright, they're probably dead here. Because they have to pierce this, they have no blue mana up. And then just go ahead and kill them. Alrighty, well, what are we up against? I know we're up against creativity, I just don't know which variant of it we're against. See if any of them are. I still feel like we're up against a Titan variant, but I don't know. What color? Oh, no, they're playing Explore even with the Archon variant. Huh. And they have a bunch of counter spells. Problem is, we don't really have a lot to combat this matchup. Firecraft can be okay against some number of counter spells, especially the Flusters and the Pierces of the world. Searing Blaze is okay against like Hard Evidence and the tokens. Like, I don't even know what we would. Maybe shave to skewer the critics. Go like that. Oh, well, this is a hand. said, there's still some draws of theirs that we struggle against. I do play Lightning Bolt, so trigger, opponent fetches in response. Are they going to have a bolt? Looks like you go basic mountain bolt. Okay, looks like they do have a bolt. And we give them a free land. Okay, hard evidence, sure. It's possible I should hold that fetch land for... That said, if they have Archon, we're going to be in a world of trouble here. Because they can target the clue token and really isn't worth bringing in Smash. This is another situation where the mono red variant with Blood Moon would be terrific, but I think we just... We have no interaction, so I'm not going to pretend that we do, and we just kind of have to YOLO. Hope we can somehow kill them before they can creativity us. Let's hold up Boros Charm, pretend we actually have something here. Probably a Prismari command. What modes are they doing? I did not leave my white mana up, so I get max punished here. Can't even cast my Boros Charm. That was terrible on so many levels. Womp, womp, womp. Opponent pitches Flusterstorm. That's pretty ballsy. No reason to attack here. It is desperate enough to sack the clue. Guess we are tapped out, so if they find a creativity or a transmogrify. Yeah, mistakes happen. We should have been able to cast that Boros Charm last turn. Hard evidence, sure. It doesn't want to take down that last little bit of mana. That said, if they hit a creativity, we're just dead regardless, so. So we're hoping to fade. They're not slamming it, so hopefully they don't have it. Okay, can you answer an uncounterable spell? Alright, nice 3-1 start. Alright, back for match number 5. Pretty sure that's 5 matches on the draw. Opponent logins to 6. Keeps on 6. And we're up against Amulet. Cool. So Amulet is a terrible matchup. It's got another Urza Saga, so we could be dead on 3, question mark. Shaman. Yeah, Firecraft wasn't even in there for that. Firecraft was literally in there for Murktide, but... Okay, opponent's got a Bojuka Bog. It's fine. They get to go get a basic. This is the new hotness from last weekend of Amulet Titan. I mean, if they have Titan next turn, we're just... There's nothing we can do. So we just pass. They have a Bounce Land plus Titan or Pact, we're pretty much toast. Got the Bounce Land. See if they're the Haste Land. Yeah, that's game. Because that's actually 20 damage. Path is... it's a card. It's not good in the matchup, but it also... Deflecting Palm, they generally know how to play around, but it's a card. Roiling Vortex can hit Pact sometimes. Eidolon's okay on the draw, but not like great. Searing Blaze is a little bit better against Sakura Tribe Elder, but still pretty middling. Boros Charm. I guess actually Helix is pretty middling over Boros Charm. And then maybe on the draw we only want like 2 Roiling Vortex. Or on the play we only want like 2 Roiling Vortex. And then shave like 2 Skewer the Critics. Try like that. Hmm, 4 lands we just can't keep. This hand seems fine. Put back Riftbolt. Smash isn't actually that good in the matchup. Because Amulet doesn't always need Amulet to beat us. A lot of their draws actually revolve around land, like getting the life gain lands and stuff. So, yeah, it can be tempting, and maybe it's fine, but you have a lot of games where Smash is not going to have a target. Like, obviously, this game where they have multiple amulets, it would look amazing, but... It doesn't actually buy you that much time. Because as many combo draws as they have, like last game, they have as many more where Radiant Fountain just wins the game. And then they win with Dryad plus Valakut triggers. So. And like even if we had 1 Smash here, they still get to play Dryad this turn, play a bounce land. They get to Titan us here? Or Boreal Grazer into Titan? It's really kind of hard to beat Amulet when they get to go Masturbation Station on you. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. That said, we do have to force them to play it out because they have Sunhome in play. So we need to make sure that they actually do things correctly here. Though with the 2 floating mana, they may actually be able to get another Titan. But ironically, oddly, a lot of it just doesn't... Wait a sec, wait, what? They have a second Titan in hand, don't they? Cool. Moving on. Like I said, you couldn't argue for Smash, but I really don't think it matters in that particular instance. As far as this list overall, you know, I made several comments that, you know, when you start trimming on particular cards, then you start running into matchups that you want the cards in. You know, Sanctifier, we ran into Dredge, we ran into Black-Red, Undying Evoke, stuff that we only won basically on a fluke, our opponent misplaying, and, you know, then we lose to Amulet. I mean, Amulet's one of those decks that, like, I believe, oh, what's the card? Tunneling Ingus? I believe the card's Tunneling Ingus. There's this, like, random card that, like, every time a player plays more than 1 land per turn, it deals them 2 damage. And, you know, outside of running a narrow card like that, and I don't even think it saves us in the situation that we ran into, getting turn 2'd and turn 3'd. Amulet is probably Burn's worst tier 1 or tier 2 matchup. I don't consider Dredge tier right now, although I do think it's a deck that should see more play than it currently does. And even Dredge, I think, is a more fixable matchup than Amulet. Like, I watch Fran a lot play Amulet, and he's even, like, comically easily beaten Burn without even having Radiant Fountain in his 75. So, and that's, like, their... I would strongly disagree. What matchup do you want Rest in Peace in that Sanctifier isn't better? Other than specifically Blue Living End. It's better against Amulet, or no, it's better against Murktide. It's better against Shadow. It's better against most of the Reanimator variants because their number one reanimating threat is Archon. It's better against Dredge. So the only matchup where you want a Rest in Peace-esque effect that it's better than in Sanctifier is Living End. And you can already beat Living End with Roiling Vortex. It's not easy, but you can beat Living End with Roiling Vortex. Deflecting Palm has been extremely underwhelming lately. It's a card that when people are expecting it, it's bad. When people are not expecting it, it can get some surprising wins. I brought it in quite a few matchups today, but that still doesn't mean I think it's good. I think it's one of those cards that you like kind of begrudgingly play it in Burns sideboard right now, but most of the matchups where you want to dome your opponent for a lot of damage, Death Shadow, Murktide, Primeval Titan, or any of the Titan decks, most of them play some amount of counter spells, discard spells. In the case of Amulet players, know how to play around it or just kill you too quickly. That said, you can catch people with it, but it's a card that's playable, but I don't think I'd run more than one or two right now. And Firecraft specifically there for Murktide. We happen to use it to score a win over, or help finish off a game against Indomitable Creativity, but, That said, I still don't know what to make of this list, other than, like as soon as, like, you can, like, cause and effect, like, we played against Dredge, and we played against that Unearthed deck. So Sanctifier looks better in that matchup. Do we go back up to a third next league and then run into, or like trim a Vortex or a Smash to Smithereens and then run into Cascade decks and then wish we had Rolling Vortex? Like, that's the thing is, like, with these small sample sizes of like one league per week, basically, you can't really like fine tune the sideboard terribly much, especially in leagues, because, well, leagues you can run into anything. But this league was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a lot more different than some of the other leagues we've been running. We didn't steamroll anybody much of this league. There was a lot of actually interesting gameplay. There were a couple mistakes I made, not protecting my Eidolon against Dredge with Boros Charm when they had Leyline in play. That's just a thing that's going to happen sometimes, and I think we would have lost that game anyway. And then the punt against Creativity that could easily have cost us, the ability to cast Boros Charm during their turn, and then, being able to cast our spells. So, we won 3-2. We learned a little bit, as far as like the meta right now, some of the oddball stuff that we ran into. And then, so it was nice to pick up some wins tonight, getting a 3-2 tonight, and, Firecraft came in clutch. You could argue running Rest in Peace is good right now, but I still like the body and attacking, especially against a lot of leyline matchups. Wear Tear. There's only two cards in the meta you want Wear Tear against. You want it against Leyline of Sanctity and Urza Saga. Against Urza Saga decks, I want Smash more because it deals damage. But as the number of decks that are starting to play Leyline are seeing an uptick, you know, Dredge, some of the especially Living End Cascade. You know, if you're expecting an uptick in Leyline, you might want to run a 1-of Wear Tear. The problem is, like, Modern's sideboard situation is so weird where you probably want 18 or 20 sideboard cards. Like, every deck legitimately wants, like, 18 or 20 sideboard cards right now. That's I guess, one of the biggest tricks with Modern is, like, tuning your sideboard to that, like, perfect place. And the other question is Bacon Otter, what card would you cut for a Wear Tear? Like one of the smashes, maybe? I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. I'm just... And the odds of drawing your 1-of Wear Tear against a Leyline deck. And I've been one of the biggest proponents of Wear Tear at points, so... There are times and places where Wear Tear is needed in the meta. But... yeah, that said... It was a fun league, and we should be back next Sunday. I prefer Exquisite in the meta right now because I'm tired of losing to Murktide. And that's a card that can win the game against Murktide. So, I could see cutting the Exquisites and going back to a more balanced sideboard, but I hate losing to counterspell decks if at all possible. So, but, yeah. I could see cutting a Firecraft and cutting both Firecrafts and wearing a couple Wear Tears, or cutting a Firecraft and, you know, bringing in the third Sanctifier, bringing in one of Rest in Peace. You know, not terrible to experiment with things. So, anywho, that will wrap up this stream.